Like all good things, even great careers must come to an end. But you'd hope that the end is fitting at least, right? A farewell that's worthy of the legacy you're leaving behind, right? But it seems not everyone gets even that around here. A certain example came up in the tennis world recently, and it's been making rounds. It's the story of Andreas Seppi, and we're here to tell it all. Let's get started. First up, Andreas Seppi announces retirement from the tennis world. The tennis world is feeling all sorts of emotions right now. Currently, tennis fans are angry and shocked after learning that Andreas Seppi was denied a wild card to retire from tennis at his home ATP tournament. Because of that rejection, Seppi made the decision to leave the sport, and his farewell competition is scheduled to take place at a challenger event in Ortisei later this October. Seppi stated on Sunday that he intended to call it quits at either the week's Tennis Napoli Cup in Naples or last week's Florence Open, both of which are tour-level competitions in his native country. The player expressed his disappointment on social media after learning that the Italian Tennis Federation rejected his plea for a wild card on the ground that it would be wasted on a retiring player. Yeah, let that sink in. And there's more. Now here's what Andreas Seppi had to say about the whole thing. The player took to Instagram to announce his retirement and share his disappointment with the ITF. It was a heartbreaking situation, and we absolutely hate how he's been treated. Seppi stated that for his final professional tennis match, he would have loved to compete in the Florence or Naples tournament, but the Italian Tennis Federation refused to let him because granting a wild card to a retiring player would have been a waste. Ouch, that doesn't sound good, does it? Sending you virtual hugs, Andreas. Next up, then came the social media uproar. Tennis enthusiasts criticized the Italian Tennis Federation on Twitter for preventing one of their greatest players from retiring at a home match and in front of his countrymen. Many criticized the decision as being disrespectful to a talented player like Seppi, which, if you think about it, does make sense, but we'll let you be the judge. Twitter and other social media platforms are filled with messages and statements that condemn the whole incident. For instance, a tweet read that it was a very disrespectful thing to do, so much so that they were speechless. They questioned what sort of thank you or gratitude did Andreas receive from the Italian Tennis Federation for all the years that he had spent devoted to the sport and institute. The first Florence Open was held in Florence this past week, and Seppi wasn't given the opportunity to compete in Florence or Naples. That's just asking for the bad press if you ask us. Another tweet gushed at the disrespect. They acknowledged that while they've never been a big fan of Seppi's game, even though he always seemed like a genuine guy who treated other players with a lot of respect during games, and he truly doesn't deserve to be treated this way. That's when you know you've won, right? When all kinds of people would stand up for you? Coming up, amidst the uproar, were praises too. A remarkable career, free of drama or attention-seeking. Ivan Lubicic honored Andreas Seppi with high praises indeed. Ivan Lubicic, a former world number 3, had big words to say about Andreas Seppi, and he referred to him as an example for others to follow. In response to Seppi's announcement of his retirement, Lubicic praised the Italian for having a remarkable career free of controversy. Ivan seems to be of the belief that Seppi is deserving of tremendous respect, and given his career, we think he might be right. He shared in one of his tweets that one of the people you look up to and wish your kids to follow is Andreas Seppi. Ivan called the player an illustration of how you can be normal and still have a fantastic career without causing drama or drawing unwanted attention. He said that it merits enormous respect. Well, that's your farewell toast right there, Seppi. Now, it looks like Andreas was already having a tough season. Naples is hosting the Tennis Napoli Cup this week. Seppi, who's now rated outside of the top 250, barely made either tournament's main draw cut. Although it's true that Andreas did compete in Florence, but it wasn't in the main draw. Now, we know the numbers game isn't everyone's cup of tea, so we'll try to keep it down low. Let's break it down together. Seppi attempted to qualify for the Florence main draw through the qualifying event, but was unsuccessful after losing to Michael Ymer. In his match against Ymer, Andreas Seppi got off to a strong start by winning back-to-back breaks to take a 3-0 lead right away. But despite being down by 2 breaks, Ymer came back strong and won the following 4 games in an astonishing comeback and seized the lead by 4-3. Yikes for Seppi, but superb from Michael. But then Ymer threw away 2 back-to-back set points in the 10th game, as Seppi was serving to stay in the opening set. But you gotta play until the final shot, right? And soon enough, the tables turned. With the Italian serving to remain in the opening set, Ymer broke Seppi in the 12th game. Following his victory in the opening set, Ymer broke Seppi in the second game of the second set and held on to his serve the rest of the way to take a 2-set advantage. What a game. Up next, by the looks of it, Andreas also had health issues this season. We just have to come out and say it. The loss of Florence and Naples is the gain of Ortisei challenger. Seppi, who owns 10 top 10 wins and defeated Roger Federer in the 3rd round at the 2015 Australian Open, says he plans to take part in the event next week to make it his official farewell. The Italian acknowledged on Instagram that it's been a difficult season, especially in terms of his physical condition. The player has had many illnesses and little consistency throughout, but it doesn't matter because he's determined that the tournament in Ortisei will be his final one as a professional, since he has now understood that his body can no no longer support certain efforts or go on with this lifestyle. Now, even though we're sad to have him go, we've got to say that we love the guy as listening to his needs and health, and we wish him a healthy life ahead. Coming up, a certain tennis player had a rather fierce reaction to Andreas Seppi's wildcard rejection. John Millman mocked the Italian Tennis Federation over how they handled the legend's final act by calling the whole thing a joke. The Australian tennis player criticized tennis officials after retiring veteran Andreas Seppi claimed he was denied a wildcard at events held in his home country before his goodbye, along with a rejection for entry to the competitions. Only a few events remain for the Italian favorite since Seppi declared last week that he would retire from tennis at the end of the 2022 season. The 38-year-old appeared to be leaving for celebrations in Florence or Naples as part of a fantastical farewell for the Italian legend. Seppi's statements and circumstances have drawn quite a strong response, and as many agree, rightfully so. Now, what did Millman have to say? The Italian officials received pretty harsh criticism from the world number 135 Millman as he emphasized that Seppi had participated in international competitions on behalf of Italy and deserved a farewell with the complete bells and whistles package. In defense of the Italian great, Millman remarked, "Andreas Seppi not getting a wild card into a tour event in Italy to end his career is a joke." He called the Italian Federation's inability to award a wild card to the man despite his top-notch career and his multiple appearances in the Olympic and Davis Cup for his nation pretty pathetic. Millman feels the nation owes it to their players to reward their efforts and strides as a small token of appreciation for the honor and pride they bring to their country, and seeing that his federation didn't do the honorable thing felt pretty disappointing. Lastly, John Millman isn't alone in his stance. With 3 ATP titles under his belt since making his professional tennis debut in 2002, Seppi has had a fantastic career. He attained 66 straight Grand Slam draws and a career-high world number 18 ranking. And it's no secret that Millman wasn't the first tennis player to criticize the circumstances around Seppi. Tennis fans from all over the world criticized the whole thing on social media and demanded that Andreas Seppi plays in a home event as an appropriate farewell to his legacy. That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments what you think of the whole situation with Andreas Seppi and his wild card. Didn't he deserve a proper farewell? Hit like, press that bell icon for updates, and click that subscribe button because we will be back with another video. Bye!